Welcome to the Chrisman Commentary Daily Mortgage News Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Chrisman. Topics on today's episode include just how ubiquitous fraud is in the mortgage industry, my interview with Gallus Augie Del Rio on cross-functional analytics and its evolving relationship with AI, as well as the true value of tech providers beyond data, and why recessions drive down mortgage rates. Thanks to today's podcast sponsor, Gallus Insights. Mortgage KPIs automated at your fingertips. Gallus allows you to turn data from your various databases and systems into automated business intelligence and actionable insights. Learn more at gallusinsights.co. Did you know the Fed looks at Twitter to gauge the financial sentiment out there? That's not a joke. The Fed certainly finds itself in a maelstrom these days. It's as if we have nothing else to talk about. I head to Boise this weekend to speak at the Pacific Northwest Mortgage Lenders Conference next week, where I'm sure the Fed and its members will be discussed, as will Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and his estranged wife Angela, who claim 3 houses as owner-occupied, similar to Fed Governor Lisa Cook. In addition, what about Pulte Homes or Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, which Bill Pulte oversees? Last week, the Wall Street Journal questioned if it's only Democrats that fudge on mortgage applications, or if mortgage misrepresentations are this common, it's an indictment of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. FHFA Director Pulte has access to these files because he oversees Fannie and Freddie, which combined guarantee about half of single-family mortgages. If he can fly spec mortgage inaccuracies, why didn't lenders or the 2 government-sponsored enterprises he regulates? Switching gears slightly, did the Fed overlook the labor market part of its dual mandate as it fought inflation over the past couple of years? Recent data continues to signal a rapidly cooling U.S. labor market, with initial jobless claims rising to 237,000, the highest since June and above economists' expectations, while private sector payroll growth slowed sharply in August to just 54,000 according to ADP, roughly half the pace of the prior month. This softening aligns with other indicators, including declining job openings, slower wage growth, and job seekers taking longer to find employment. At the same time, we learned yesterday that the Institute of Supply Management Services Index showed modest growth in August, but its employment component remained in contractionary territory for the 3rd straight month. Manufacturing activity has now contracted for 6 consecutive months, underscoring broad-based economic moderation. As a result of that heap of data yesterday, bond markets rallied on growing expectations that the Federal Reserve may move to cut interest rates later this month. For today's interview, I wanted to welcome back to the show Gallus Augie Del Rio to talk about cross-functional analytics and its evolving relationship with AI, as well as the true value of tech providers beyond data. He's an entrepreneur and founder and CEO at Gallus, having pivoted from a career in finance to founding Gallus Insights, a data technology company that you've probably heard me introduce on the podcast several times this week.
Your background and your career, how you got to where you are today, it's all very important to you. And the last time I had you on the podcast, you went through some of it in detail. But I guess I want to ask you today, how did your background shape who you are and why you ultimately started Gallus?
Well, first, thank you, Robbie, for having me back on the podcast. It's always fun to connect with you, especially in this capacity. So I had the opportunity to, live in different cities and countries and continents, right? So just to give you a little bit of my background, right? I was born and raised in Mexico, but I went to high school in Arkansas, went to college in Holland, in Europe, in Amsterdam. I went back to Mexico, worked in different spots within Mexico, North, South, and Mexico City. And then I ended up going to the East Coast in the United States for business school, went to Yale School of Management, and ultimately ended up working in New York in investment banking, and then in Texas in mortgage banking. And ultimately, all these experiences gave me a international, but also local perspective of life, right? So I kind of, they call it glocal, right? And so I love, that I can enjoy my tacos and cervezas with my Mexican buddies, right? But I love to watch football with my friends from high school in Arkansas. I lived in New York for 5 years, and so all the finance talk and lingo that I have with my New York buddies, it can be fun and / nerdy. And so I think it shaped me as a sort of I want to call it a multicultural minded person. But I don't know if I think it helped me in terms of, to answer your question on how did it lead me to the Gallus part of my life. I think a lot of it had to do with America and seeing the great um, experiences or stories of amazing entrepreneurs, right? So I think when I came to America first for high school, and then ultimately to business school and staying in the United States, I saw all these great stories of all these great founders from again different parts of the world, different parts of America that were building all these great enterprises, and so that always sort of gave me that hunger to eventually become an entrepreneur of my own, right? Yeah.
Obviously, you're a very well-rounded and diverse person. A lot of depth comes from travel, not just travels, but living for substantive periods of time in these places. How did that background help you in your path to leave Caliber, to leave New York City and investment banking and start Gallus?
Admittedly, the path to leaving investment banking was not the hardest one because the notion of doing 90-hour weeks, for a long time frame was just not something that I saw as, I think 5 years was enough for me. I had a blast in investment banking, but it was not something that I also wanted to pursue long term. Also, the notion of just giving of being execution focused or transactional focused was not something that I wanted to do long term. And so I started. But however, what I will say though is most of the M&A deals, and when I was doing either debt or equity offerings, it just so happened that it was around the mortgage ecosystem, and so kind of like I got sucked into the world of mortgage by chance. And when I was working at Goldman, the opportunity came to lead the M&A efforts for Caliber Home Loans in Dallas, and so I thought it would be a great opportunity to actually work for a company and go beyond the transactional mindset and go more from a medium slash long term approach. And so to me, it was a no brainer because I thought to myself, well, I've learned all these skills in banking. Let's put them to practical use. I love the mortgage industry then. I love it now. It was more like, hey, it was a no brainer that I actually wanted to go and work for a company and become a mortgage practitioner. So I did that at Caliber by first leading the M&A efforts, and then I had the opportunity to lead the financial planning and analysis division.
And maybe I buried the lead here. And I need to ask you to give kind of an elevator pitch on what Gallus does. And obviously, listeners of this podcast have heard me talk about it all week. KPIs automated at your fingertips, turn data from your various databases and systems into automated business intelligence and actionable insights. Hopefully, I didn't steal your thunder there. Can you give a little background on what Gallus does and how it's so helpful to companies?
Yeah, no, absolutely. If I were to like summarize Gallus, and you did steal my thunder a little bit, Robbie. Thank you for that. No, but you said it. I couldn't have said it better myself. But Gallus is a reporting and data analytics solution. We're not a tool. We think of ourselves as a solution. And if you think about it, data is amongst the most important assets, after people, right? But data, it is a crucial and material, one of the most important assets of a company. And data has to be accessible, it's got to be combinable, it's got to be analyzable, it's got to be shareable, right? That's a lot of obbles that I just threw your way. And we help mortgage companies do that. Uh, but effectively, we think of ourselves as we empower informed decision making for our mortgage clients, right? And so, I always heard that you're not really entitled to your opinion, you're entitled to your informed opinion, right? And so to me, my job is to bring not only data, but knowledge at my clients' fingertips so that they can make better and faster decisions. And so the short answer is we're a reporting and data analytics solution for mortgage lenders and servicers so they can make better and faster decisions with their most important asset, which is data.
I was going to ask, is it more of a data company or an analytics company, or is it evolving into just a pure tech company with the rapid evolvement of AI? I mean, Amazon started out selling books. Kodak didn't start out selling pictures. It was in the memory preservation business. So we see businesses evolve. So maybe talk about kind of the evolution of Gallus and where you see it going.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, right? And I think to myself as I think of Gallus as we're in the business of empowering managers to have the ability to execute informed based decisions or knowledge based decisions, right? We're empowering knowledge based decisions, right? And so our main asset for that, it's the data that mortgage companies create from their LOS, from their CRM, from their financial system, all that stuff. And I think that if we can turn that data into insights, right, and then we can allow those insights to uh, help our customers make better and faster decisions, there's a lot of value there, right? Now, to answer your question of like where is Gallows going, there's a part of me that I have a clear view of where we're going, but there's a part of me that actually think that there's a really cool sense of uncertainty on where the road might take us because I don't know all these technologies that are evolving. I know they're going to empower us to do a lot more analytics and a lot more sophisticated models, right? But what I can tell you is that we're going to continue to monitor the ecosystem on the AI side. For example, when we started Gallus, we would say, "Hey, if you can Google, you can Gallus," um, and we were using certain technologies to effectively accomplish that. Now we're basically saying, if you can ChatGPT, you can Gallus, right? So we're actually allowing our users to interact with their data like they would with ChatGPT. So, at first, Gallus was answering a lot of the what questions. What happened to lock margins? What happened to the pipeline? What are the loan officers with the highest growth rate? What are the pull-through rates by product? What is the profitability by loan officer, right? But now we're going into a territory, Robbie, where technology is allowing us to answer the why, right? And so the why is like, why are revenue margins lower now? Is it a geographical consideration? Is it a product consideration? Is it a concessions consideration, right? That is affecting this. So a lot of the why we are able to answer, and also now we're incorporating data models where we can include a lot of predictive analytics. And so part of what we always say is like, look, as a manager, you have to have deep knowledge of what has happened, but I think you also have to have the ability to predict with authority what is likely to happen. So to me, when I'm thinking about all the different opportunities of where the road might lead us on the Gala side, I think it's exciting because as technology continues to evolve, and there's a lot of really cool AI tools that come to fruition and that become available to us, right? We're going to be, we can't wait to exploit them. But one thing I got to tell you, Robbie, is that, and this is to any company that wants to have an AI strategy. If you want to have an AI strategy, you have to have it, but you will not be able to execute it if you don't have a robust data environment, right? And I think that's a lot of the stuff that definitely Gallus helps execute because we bring all that data into an environment that can be accessed. And as for any model, especially for AI, the main input for that is the data that you're feeding into any large language model or any AI technology.
Yes, good data in, good data out, trash data in, trash data out. It's definitely an adage that holds true. You're telling me that today people can go on and speak with Gallus like they do Chat GPT. It's fully functional that way.
Yeah, we're starting to rolling it. We've rolled it out with several of our clients, and the way that it works is basically that you ask a question and you can say, "Look, show me the pull-through rates, in the last 3 months, right? And then you can also ask the question, well, why have they increased or why have they decreased, right? And it will give you an answer. There's some machine learning models that we're applying to all the data that we're effectively combining and analyzing, and it basically gives you a an answer on why are things changing, right? And on our end, because we have this verticalized approach to working only with mortgage companies, we are training these models to become better and faster and ultimately more accurate. So yeah, so I think right now we're rolling it out to our first set of clients, and it's something that it's getting a lot of really good traction or feedback from the clients that are using it.
And so what's the best way for people to think about Gallus? Is it a competitor to Tableau or Power BI? Does it fit alongside those tools? Do you view yourself as an advisory? How would you categorize it?
Tableau, Power BI, Domo, those are all phenomenal business intelligence tools, right? And but I think of Gallus more as a mortgage business intelligence solution. Now, let me double click on that answer for a second. If you are on Tableau or Power BI, you still have to feed the data, right? And to feed the data into one of those platforms, Robbie, is extremely difficult. You have to bring the data from, your LOS, Encompass, Meridian Link, BlueSage, whatever it is. You have to bring the data, extract the data from the LOS, you have to extract the data from your financial system, you have to extract the data from your CRM, you have to extract your data from your HR system if you want to combine some productivity metrics, right? All that effort that takes to extract all those data sets from their siloed systems is extremely expensive and complicated, right? And then you have to choose a technology stack, right? And then you have to hire data architects, data engineers. So to me, if you think about Tableau, Power BI, or Domo, those tools, that's the front end, but it's just a tool to present information. On the Gallo side, we think of ourselves as a reporting and business intelligence solution because we do all the heavy lifting on the extraction of the data, the setting up all the data pipelines to make sure that the data can be accessed. We have a pre-built library of dashboards covering from originations to capital markets to corporate finance to pipeline management, right? So we kind of think of ourselves as saying to mortgage lenders, look, here is a holistic solution that can give you all your reporting and analytical needs as a mortgage practitioner, whether you're the CEO of a mortgage company, the loan officer, or you're the COO or the underwriter, right? Or the loan analyst. We have dashboards. We have over 250 dashboards that are pre-built across different functions of a mortgage organization's needs. But we also have the AI piece that allows folks to Google their own data. So I think it's a different piece because we're not I don't see myself as a competitor necessarily of Tableau or Power BI because they're just a tool. We're more of a verticalized solution that we just happen to love the mortgage landscape.
And that's especially cool. You're only in mortgage, so you can focus on honing it in for the industry. Uh, I kind of touched on this earlier, asking about AI and how you can interact with it, but it's moving so rapidly. It's evolving so rapidly. Iterations are leaps and bounds beyond previous ones. There's a tech arms war, if you will, right now in the industry. How do you stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, I know, and I get the question a lot, even from my current investors. And I'm actually enjoying, or the faster it moves is the better it is for Gallus, right? Because to me, and I don't have to like invent ChatGPT, right? I can effectively, go to OpenAI, bring a large language model. I can train the large language model into the mortgage operations. That's something specific to Gallus. For me to stay ahead of the curve, I have to just be up to date on all the different technologies that are taking off, right? Because my job is to basically make sure that the Gallus tech stack is as sophisticated and as updated as possible, so I can deploy the best machine learning models, that I can deploy the best AI solutions, right? Because about 95% of our tech stack that we use, Robbie, is third party. And I say that proudly because I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I just have to make sure that, I pick the best car, the best wheels, the best engine, the best pilot, and I bring all those things together. And by solely focusing on the mortgage industry, like we're basically a cocktail mix of really cool technologies fully focused on mortgage analytics. And so it's not the staying ahead of the curve is more on my end to making sure I understand all of these new technologies that are taking off and making sure that I'm not ignoring key aspects of them so I can fully deploy them for the benefit of my clients.
You mentioned earlier that you've rolled out the latest iteration to several clients. Can you tease us with kind of what's on the horizon, what new features you're looking to add or uh, capabilities?
Yeah, a lot of what we're building now is on the forecasting, and so we're basically deploying models that allow you to forecast what could happen to your locks, your fundings under different rate environments, and what are the financial implications of such projections, right? So, for example, if there is a 50 basis points increase in rates, what are the adverse implications from a lock and funding perspective, and what could happen to your financial results, and what would that be from a prior to that, what is the X capacity that you might have, um, so that we can allow our clients to better prepare for different mortgage environments, right? Because as we all know, mortgage is a very, very volatile industry, right? And so the same thing, if rates have hopefully a significant decline, what will be your operating capacity deficit, right? And what does that mean for your opportunity cost if you don't have the ability to fund those loans? How much cash or profit you will be leaving on the table, right? So I think a lot of our what we're doing now is creating a lot of analytics that can predict what could happen, but also not just stop at the volume piece. We were mixing it with the financial and operating implications so that managers can basically say, you know what, with this set of outlooks, I want to actually have, I want to plan for my capacity in X or Y way, based on what those projections are suggesting that could happen, right? So a lot of it is mixing the volume projections with the operating implications and ultimately the financial impact that those different scenarios could have.
I think that's one of the best things to come out of this market cycle because everyone knows how cyclical the mortgage industry is, but the preparation for swings up or swings down in production, companies didn't quite have the proper grasp on. I think tools like Gallus and uh, others are really helping companies scale efficiently, both up and down. Now, I want to close with a personal note here. I saw on LinkedIn, even though I don't have a LinkedIn, but I saw it still, that you just became a citizen. First off, congratulations. I was obviously lucky to be born in America, so I don't know how it feels to become American. Although I heard that the test was really hard, like the average American couldn't pass the citizenship test. But can you shed some light on the process and how it feels?
Yeah, well, first, thank you for that, Robbie. It feels awesome to say that. And I'm, it's one of the proudest moments of my life. And, I've been living in the United States for almost 20 years. And it was a very, very special a moment for me and my family. So to me, it is the greatest country in the world. I always say that I'm proud to be born and raised in Mexico, but now I'm also super proud to be an American. And yes, the civics test is not easy, but I was told that I was able to pass it with no mistake. So I was also proud of that. But thank you for the question, Bobby.
What'd you do to celebrate or anything you're looking forward to?
I am looking forward to having less visas because if the American passport is not as powerful as you might think, for different countries. Trust me, the Mexican passport is even less powerful. So I think if I want to go to different countries, I do think that I will have the less of a visa need if I want to go to other places in the world. But I didn't think too much about that, to be honest. I think that would be a benefit there from a logistical perspective.
Well, I appreciate the time very much. Happy to get the word out for you. You're a true friend, and I wish you the best of luck.
Robbie, thank you for having me in the podcast. And likewise, thank you for everything. Appreciate it, man.
The Trump administration has initiated a criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook amid efforts by Trump to remove her from office, citing unproven allegations of mortgage fraud, which Cook and her legal team strongly deny. Though she has not been charged with any wrongdoing, Cook argues the move is politically motivated and part of Trump's broader push to reshape the central bank with loyalists willing to cut interest rates. She has filed a lawsuit to challenge her removal, with her legal team asserting that the president lacks the authority to dismiss her without cause. The Supreme Court is expected to ultimately weigh in, given its previous stance that the Fed's structure affords it a unique degree of independence from presidential control. But speaking of central bank loyalists willing to cut interest rates, Stephen Moran, Trump's nominee for a vacant Fed seat, emphasized his commitment to central bank independence during a tense confirmation hearing yesterday, though many Democrats view him as another partisan pick aimed at undermining the Fed's autonomy. Did you know that since 1980 there have been 9 Fed easing cycles? Across those cycles, the Fed funds rate reduction averaged 232 basis points, and the reduction in the 10-year Treasury averaged 72 basis points. Around a recession, cuts averaged 400 basis points, and the decline in the 10-year Treasury averaged 156 basis points. But outside of a recession, Fed funds cuts averaged 97 basis points, and the slide in 10-year Treasury was just 6 basis points. Long story short, a recession is key to getting the 10-year Treasury down. There's only one data point on today's economic calendar, but it's a very important one. August non-farm payrolls were up 22,000, much lower than expected, with the unemployment rate coming in at 4.3% as expected, and hourly earnings were up 3.7% year over year. After the week jobs numbers, agency MBS prices are better by about a quarter from Thursday's close, the 2 years yielding 3.51, and the 10 years yielding 4.11 after closing yesterday at 4.18%. Let's wrap up with a joke and some housekeeping. Did you know that the sole purpose of a child's middle name is so he or she knows when they're really in trouble? Thanks again to Gallus Insights. Mortgage KPIs automated at your fingertips. Gallus allows you to turn data from your various databases and systems into automated business intelligence and actionable insights. Learn more at gallusinsights.co.